Thanks, Rita. Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Wednesday's Look North. As the hot weather continues, we find out how the country is coping with the extreme temperatures and how it's affecting workers.
Plenty of sun cream on, because you're burnt within an hour if you don't. And regular breaks too, so go down every hour, something like that. Getting shade.
We'll have advice from a GP on how to stay healthy in the heat. Also tonight, the government announces that Bradford and Keighley will be part of the first investigations for the independent inquiry into grooming gangs. 10 years on from the vote to leave the EU, we look at what it's meant for our region. And a special trip to Leeds for a vintage Avro aircraft, the last one still flying, returning to the city where it was built.
And it's been another sweltering day, temperatures up to 32 degrees, that's 90 degrees Fahrenheit. How long, though, will this hot weather last? Join me for the very latest forecast.
Hello there, thanks for joining us this evening. It has been another scorcher of a day, hasn't it? Some areas of our region remain under an amber weather warning for heat, and it's not over yet. We've had record-breaking nighttime temperatures in parts of Yorkshire. More on that in a moment with Paul, but first, there's no escape from the heat wave for some people in their trades. Heidi Tomlinson has spent the morning with a team of roofers.
Essential hydration.
Oh yeah, that's needed.
For roofers, there's no escaping the heat. Working in exposed conditions with constant direct sunlight, coupled with high temperatures, can be unbearable.
It affects you really badly, actually, because come lunchtime, sometimes you've had enough by lunchtime, especially when eat what comes off these slates.
Manoeuvring traditional slate stone into position is physical work. This is a re-roofing job on a house near Huddersfield. They're a hardy team used to unfavourable weather, but they've noticed extreme summer temperatures are becoming more frequent.
Being on here, you're sweating, you get covered in dirt with sun cream and dirt mixed in together. And obviously when having no shade, constantly taking breaks, your day does feel a lot longer than it would normally.
To ensure everyone's safety, there are regular breaks, lots of water and multiple applications of high-factor sunscreen.
Well, it feels hotter up here than it actually is because this slate absorbs the heat and radiates it back out. It becomes too hot to handle without gloves. The job gets more challenging as the day goes on.
An amber weather warning's in place for parts of West and South Yorkshire. Hot and humid conditions are expected day and night until tomorrow evening. Vulnerable people should be checked on and helped to keep their homes cool.
We can take steps to try and ensure that we don't overheat inside our houses. Keeping windows closed at the peak times of the day, but opened in an evening, may allow us to do that.
Travel's been affected too. LNER has reduced services from London to Leeds and Lincoln. Speed restrictions are enforced due to a red heat warning in the Midlands and the South. Passengers are being advised not to travel tomorrow and Friday unless it's an essential journey.
So like all metals, the track expands in hot weather, as does the electric wires that feed the electricity, and that can cause problems. This is extreme heat, so only the second ever red heat warning, and it does mean that we have to be careful. Some points when the track gets too hot, we may have to run slower.
Water consumption has risen sharply. Yorkshire Water says its teams are moving water around the network to areas experiencing the highest demand, and customers are being asked to consider using watering cans in the garden instead of hose pipes. Although downing plenty of water is imperative for the roofers, whose top tip is to plan ahead and freeze bottles the night before work. A cold drink and a shady break, the only way to cope. Heidi Tomlinson, BBC Look North.
It's certainly been a scorcher, hasn't it? So why has it felt particularly intense this time around? Paul is here to talk us through some of the figures.
Yep.
How hot did it get today?
32 degrees, 90 Fahrenheit. Yesterday, 32.8 degrees at Bramham was hotter than anything we had during that famous summer of 1976. And last night, we set a new nighttime record at Sheffield Weston Park. It was their warmest June night on record. Anything above 20 degrees at night, the Met Office classify it as a tropical night, so very uncomfortable indeed.
And it is uncomfortable. It's not just the heat, is it?
Absolutely not. Humidities are very high indeed. Now, relative humidity is a measure of how much moisture, invisible moisture, is in the atmosphere. And the higher the level of humidity, the more difficult it is for our bodies to cool down in the heat. So I've had a look at how we compare with the rest of Europe. The relative humidity at midday today, for example, at Bradford Lister Park was just above 50%. Well, how did that compare with cities in Spain like Madrid? You've got Spanish blood. You know how hot it is in central Spain.
I do.
It's hot, but it's a different type of heat. Very low humidity, just 21%. So how do we compare with the Mediterranean? That's the interesting thing. Humidities in our region and in Bradford today have been nearly exactly the same as the Balearics. That's Palma, Mallorca at lunchtime. So that just gives you an idea of how uncomfortable it is.
Yeah, and as we've been talking about, we have very different infrastructure to these places,
Absolutely,
don't we?
yeah.
How long is the heat going to last then?
I think we're going to push it into Saturday now, so an extra day compared with the forecast yesterday. May well be that peak heat and humidities is actually on Friday, and we could see some thunderstorms as well.
Well, we want to see how you are coping with the heat, so get in touch with us. It is a really important issue. How are you coping in the heat? Are you enjoying the heat? Get in touch. You can contact us via bbc.co.uk/your voice stories. You can scan the QR code that's on the screen to share your story, or get in touch via the BBC News app. We're going to move away from the heat wave now. It's been confirmed today that Bradford and Keighley will be among the first areas to be included in the long-awaited inquiry into grooming gangs. Now, the inquiry will compel institutions to explain what they did or didn't do to protect children from sex abuse. Survivors and local politicians have welcomed the announcement, saying that it's time for the truth to be known. Our Home Affairs correspondent Emma Glasby joins us now. And Emma, this is something survivors have been calling for a really long time.
Yes, for many, many years now, victims and survivors here in Bradford have been calling for more investigation into the grooming and sexual abuse of children. And today, the National Grooming Gangs Inquiry has said it was responding to those concerns. It has announced a local investigation to be carried out in Bradford and Keighley, as well as in London and Oldham. Now, we're told that the inquiry will examine in detail what happened in this area. It will look at how children were targeted and exploited by these gangs, how victims were treated, and crucially, what needs to change. Now, someone who's been calling for this for a very long time is Fiona Goddard. She was groomed and sexually abused by groups of mainly British Pakistani men in Bradford from the age of 14 when she was living in a children's home. I spoke to her earlier today to get her response to this announcement.
I'm glad that it's been chosen. It's important for Bradford to be covered. It's been a long fight. We've fought for this for a long time, and it is a weight off my shoulders, the fact that it has been chosen, but there is still questions to be asked about other locations that haven't yet been disclosed as being one of the localities. You've got Huddersfield and Dewsbury, Birmingham, and we need to know what part Wales plays in this.
You were abused for many years whilst you were in care. What do you want this local investigation to look at?
Accountability. We need accountability. There's one thing, prosecuting the perpetrators of these crimes. That should have been a given. They should have always been prosecuted. But the people that chose to go into safeguarding roles, that made these decisions, that weren't just turning a blind eye to the children's abuse, it added and facilitated it. The decisions that were made directly contributed to further abuse. We need to know why and who and how. And the thing with Bradford and why it was so important to be included is its connections to all the other cities around England, all the other cases. Bradford was the main part of the trafficking routes. The people come from Bradford to the other cities. People were taken from the other cities to Bradford. It helps to build up a bigger picture. So there is serious issues to be addressed in Bradford. that affects it both locally and nationally.
Now, another voice who's been campaigning on this issue for a very long time is the Keighley and Ilkley MP, Robbie Moore. We got his reaction today to this announcement.
I've long said that the scale of the issue across the Bradford district, including Keighley, will dwarf that of
to Leeds. You know, it's just such a privilege.
This is an Avro Anson, dating from 1943. 4,000 were built in Yeadon, and this is the only one which still leaves the ground.
Now, you know I like my railways, but the sound of the engines roaring as this touched down on the airfield made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I love how mechanical it is. You can see how it works. Not sure I want to get in it, though, but watch out, trains. I might be converted.
The airport is absolutely steeped in history, and it's a fantastic past. It all dates back to when the country had its war effort, and the RAF Squadron 609 was based here. Obviously, we had the Avro Shadow factory based here as well, and that produced in excess of 4,500 planes for the war effort.
Nigel's family played their part in building planes. The culmination of the campaign to bring the Avro here is bittersweet for him. His wife was desperate to see it too, but sadly passed away.
I filled up. Yeah, I filled up. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, Claire would have loved it. People around here would have heard that day in, day out, going out here. Yeah, so it's just a special aeroplane.
Well, I'm a commercial pilot myself.
So what do you prefer, your big commercial jets or flying this?
Simple answer, flying this.
Why?
Because it's a real flying. There's no autopilot fitted, and there's no displays at all.
Call sign Annie, nickname Gentle because of its easy handling, the visit home was short. But at least 83 years on, a little corner of the sky is still Yorkshire. Tom Ingle, BBC Look North, Leeds Bradford Airport.
Quite something that, isn't it? Right, let's get back to the heat wave now. And not everything or everyone has ground to a halt. Some young cricketers in Huddersfield are still in action tonight, just with a few adjustments to keep everybody safe. All the clubs in their league are operating under hot weather guidelines this week. Arzu Dutta is with them. She can explain how it all works. It's a lovely evening to be out, Arzu.
Absolutely, we dream of sunny skies in the sporting world, and today we've even been spoilt with a picturesque view. It's been absolutely scorching here in Halifax, but the Outlane Cricket Club have put in a few provisions to keep these young players safe. The under-15s are currently in action behind me, and they've made a few changes, such as shorter overs and more changes. With me is I've got Tom from the Halifax League. So why is it important that these games continue?
Well, obviously cricket's a game to be played in nicer climes. We're not used to this in this country, but we've put the provisions in place, as you mentioned. We've reduced it down to 16 overs instead of 20. We've got hydration breaks like they do in the World Cup at the moment, so we're having drinks breaks every 4 overs. Outlane have done great. We've got bottled water for all the players. We've got the gazebo up for them to get some shade. So sun shining, play cricket.
Perfect. We're also joined by the head coach, Jordan. Jordan, why is it important that athletes are trained in all weathers at grassroots level?
Well, cricket's a summer sport, so in countries like India, Pakistan, Australia, this is a norm. This is what they train in, they play in every day. So any young cricketer who wants to make it professional or even go overseas to play, then these are the conditions they'll have to get used to. So it's a good experience for everyone, and it's what we want.
Now we've managed to get really lucky and pull one of the players away. Sam, what's it like playing in this heat?
Obviously, it's a lot harder than usual because here in the UK we're not used to this weather. But I think when we have got this heat and it is sunny skies, no clouds, it is really good for cricket, and we should take advantage of it and just enjoy the game.
Well, there you have it. Where there is a will, there is a way, Amy. The energy is really up to par here, even though we've got the heat. But it has been a stop-start game today. Back to you.
Azu, thank you. You know, I've never heard so much about hydration breaks than I have since the World Cup started. I thought it was just an American thing, but we're all at it, it would seem. And also, away from the cricket, hydration stations are in place in our wildlife parks too, and that's not just for the punters and the staff. At Askham Bryan near York, they're treating some very cute furry friends to homemade treats. The animal-friendly ice lollies have been going down very well at the Conservation Park, helping to regulate their body temperatures. Oh, that's just given me an idea. I could make some of those for the chickens, couldn't I? A little bit of corn in a nice...
There, and that is definitely not Whitby either, and it's definitely not from June.
It's York.
That's in York, so we're not doing very well tonight. But anyway, again, you get the general idea, and you know, certainly that must have been really nice this afternoon, bathed in that sunshine. So if you've got any pictures you'd like to send them in, we'll get it right tomorrow night. We'll certainly get your name right, but the addresses are there: X, Instagram, and on the Weather Watcher website. So we've still got that amber warning for heat in place for the next 48 hours. A difference from last night's forecast is we're pushing the heat actually into the weekend now. So tomorrow will be hot and sunny. We've still got all this warm air coming up from France. Friday could see top temperatures, 1 or 2 thunderstorms as well. However, if you can't stand the heat, relief is at hand. We're going to have to wait until Sunday, but this is Atlantic air, and that will push across us during Sunday. And next week looks much cooler and unsettled. But in the short term, all I see that blob giving a bit of mistiness and low clouds to coastal areas. Temperatures not quite as warm as last night. Still uncomfortable though. Huddersfield, Sheffield 17 or 18 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow's high water times then in Scarborough 1:34 and again at 1:47. So coastal areas may be a little bit of a difference just for a time, not all day, but a bit of sea mistiness just lapping onto the coast. That will burn away, and then it's another dry, sunny and hot day across everywhere else. These are the top temperatures similar to today's values: 32 degrees Celsius, that's 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and it stays fine and hot through Thursday evening. Now, temperatures could well peak on Friday. That could introduce a thunderstorm risk with around about 33, maybe 34 degrees. Still hot Saturday, but relief at hand as we head into Sunday. That's the forecast.
You sure you've not been on the beers already?
Well, somebody has by the looks of that.
Would you give Dave the dog a nice pop?
Definitely. He's struggling, is Dave,
yeah,
actually.
So is little Teddy, all that fur. That is it from us. We'll be back with the late news with Abijiola. Bye-bye.